Hello everybody, and welcome back to another beta preview review. Today we'll be taking a look at beta number 1.20.40.23. Relatively small beta, maybe about a dozen changes, but these are some really interesting changes nonetheless. So let's go ahead and start taking a look at them. So for the first change, that third-person camera will no longer clip through cauldrons. So if we go ahead and put into third person, the camera would clip through it. Now, the changelog, if you went to the bug reports, specified on the east and the west. So what we can do is go ahead and grab a locator map. This would be west over here. This would be north, or sorry, east. And we can just go ahead and see if anything interesting happens. And then I also have one here that's above us, so we can see what happens. But what I imagined was happening was it would like go inside the cauldron, but as you can see here, it just drops down. It doesn't seem to get stuck in it at all. So yeah, overall, seems like it was fixed properly. Next change, players falling into powdered snow without leather boots right now will no longer take fall damage of any kind. So what we're going to do is game mode S. Right here, and then slash TP at S tilde 100 and tilde. And what you're going to see is I'm not going to take fall damage ever. Putting on the leather boots, as you know, you can stand on this stuff, but the new change, or relative the fix, because it was supposed to be like this always, but it broke. If you're falling from a height greater than 2.5 blocks, you will sink into the first layer, and then you can jump out, but you will sink into that first layer because you just have so much speed. And previously this wasn't working, you just landed on top, but now if you are wearing the leather boots, you will once again sink through that first layer if you're falling greater than 2.5 blocks. Back to creative mode, the next change here is the water. So as I'm sure you guys know, water splashes were changed recently, and there were a whole new sounds for it. And pretty much these things, they still work the same, but they now are on Android. They weren't on Android in the last two betas, but they are now. So those of you on Android can now hear the brand new beautiful water sounds. Moving on from there, we have goat horns. Now, I'm sure you saw my last beta and preview video, because why would you miss a beta and preview video, right? Silly. But goat horns, now, as of last beta, you can hear them from up to 256 blocks away. So you can hear them really far out, but the audio control for them is now properly back to where it would be. Previously, it was on sound, but now it is back to where it should be, which is jukebox and note blocks. I don't know why I couldn't say that properly, but this is where it's supposed to be, and this is where it is once again. As you can see, it is now louder when I up that bar instead of the sound bar. Oh yeah. Beyond that, light sources will no longer randomly appear. There was an issue where light would just randomly be in your world, even though there was no light source around it. So that will no longer occur. Next up, splash particles are now emitted at the actor's waist instead of above their head. This is referring to when you're jumping in water, the particles will appear at your waist instead of above your head. Now, when jumping in, that is a little weird. I notice when jumping out, they're still spawning on top of my head, if you see that. But when actually jumping in, I'm not so sure, because I move so fast. But it looks like they appear on the water. No, it still appears like they're at my head. Yeah, they still appear at my head. Well, I'm not sure what's up with that then, because I'm still seeing them appear on top of my head. Most noticeably right here. I go up and they spawn right on my head. But yeah, that's a little weird. Maybe it's just because I'm moving too quick or something. But you can't exactly jump in water slowly. So, weird. Next up, warped fungus on a stick. Now, there is nothing wrong with the way this functions, but when you were holding it in your first person hand, it was actually backward, so you were holding it from the mushroom rather than the stick where you should be. So that has been fixed. It was just a bit of a visual glitch. Finally, there was a bug with the Sniffer. You know how the Sniffer has its digging animation? When the Sniffer dug up the seed, it was just stop halfway through the animation. That will no longer happen. The Sniffer will properly finish its animation. They fixed a crash related to tessellation of water blocks. I have no idea what the word tessellation even means, but they have fixed it. Also, there's no bug report, so I can't click on it and see what this means or is referring to, so I'm not really sure how to test that. Now, there is one other change here. There was a bug on Android where mobs, if they were moving on a block with zero friction, it would crash and like freeze your game. Now, I'm not entirely sure how you managed to move on a block with zero friction, but it could happen very rarely, and when it did, it broke your game. So that has been fixed. Your game will not break when a mob moves on a block with zero friction anymore. Beyond that, there are a few more of the Bedrock creator or editor that separate application changes, but if you guys are interested in that application, you can go ahead and look at the changelog. There was one experimental change. They fixed the spawning in of NPCs. It's been broken since 1.19.80, it said in the change. And finally, they removed a few more things from the API experimental technical feature, so they are just openly available now. You don't have to turn on the API. And there was a graphical change. High emission values, less than 0.25, no longer obstruct surface detail in the deferred technical preview. Now, what does this mean? I have no idea. I'm not a very technical person when it comes to Minecraft. I just know how it works. I don't know like all the code stuff behind it. But this seems to have something to do with textures, so I'm hoping this helps improve and works with the new texture pack updates and access that has been given to us. I think it was like last month, but I'm hoping that's what that has to do with. I might be wrong, because like I said, I don't really know what that means, but it is a thing. So, other than that, that is now every single change in this week's changelog. Like I said, not a very big one, about a dozen changes or so, but I do hope you have enjoyed nonetheless. Anyways, this has been Mr. Gaming Aquatic, and you should subscribe. Peace!